You struck Earth first. Now we are coming for you, the woman general warned the Empire. Earth had been quiet for a long time. Humans looked at the stars and studied them, but they stayed hidden from the big empires of the galaxy. For years, Earth had watched, learned, and prepared in secret. The humans knew they were small compared to the fleets of the Empire, but they also knew something important. They could not be ignored. General Lisa Carter walked slowly across the hall of the council chamber. The room was enormous, filled with creatures from hundreds of different planets. Some had tentacles, some had wings, and some glowed like small suns. The humans in the room were few, but they stood tall. Lisa carried herself with calm confidence. She knew what had to be said. She knew every word mattered. The council chamber was silent. Even the air seemed tense. Lisa stopped at the center and looked at the Emperor of the Galactic Empire. He was large and imposing, covered in gold and black armor, with eyes that seemed to see through her. His advisors whispered among themselves, doubting the humans. They had thought humans were weak, small, unworthy of attention. They had been wrong. You struck Earth first, Lisa said clearly. Her voice was calm, not angry. You attacked our colonies without reason. You destroyed cities and ships. You killed innocents. She paused and let the words sink in. The council murmured. Some of the aliens looked shocked, but most tried to hide their fear. Humans had not yet fought, and still they spoke with power. Now, Lisa continued, we are coming for you. We will not beg, we will not surrender, we will not run. If you want war, you will find it waiting for you. If you want peace, it will be offered from strength, not fear. Earth is ready. The Emperor laughed, a low, cruel sound. And what can your small world do against the might of the Empire? He asked. You are nothing but insects compared to us. One strike and your people will vanish. Do you really believe you can face the fleets of 1,000 worlds? Lisa looked straight at him. She did not flinch. We do not fear your fleets. We do not fear your threats. You may have more ships, but we have something you cannot measure: resolve. You cannot measure it with weapons. You cannot scan it with your machines. We fight because we must, and we fight for everyone who cannot fight for themselves. That is why Earth will survive. The room went quiet again. The humans around Lisa felt the weight of her words. Paul King, a young engineer, felt his heart beat faster. He had never spoken in front of so many aliens, but he believed every word she said. Amy Brown, another officer, looked at Lisa with pride. She knew the general's warning was more than words. It was a promise. Some of the alien council members exchanged nervous looks. They had underestimated humans for too long. They had thought Earth was weak, divided, and harmless. Now they saw a different truth. These humans did not shout. They did not make threats they could not keep. They spoke calmly, but their calm carried the weight of action. After Lisa finished, she turned and walked slowly back to her side. The humans followed her quietly. None of them smiled, none of them laughed. There was no need. The warning had been given and the message had landed. Earth had spoken and the Empire had heard it. Outside the council chamber, the streets of the human city were alive with movement. People went about their daily lives, unaware that a momentous message had just been delivered. Still, beneath the surface, everything had changed. Ships were being prepared. Soldiers were being trained. Engineers worked on technology that even the Empire would not understand at first glance. Inside a hidden hangar, Lisa watched as young pilots moved with precision. Kevin Young, a fleet commander, oversaw the placement of ships. The ships were smaller than the Empire's, but they were fast and clever. Their designs were simple, almost unremarkable. But humans had spent decades learning how to hide strength in simplicity. These ships could outmaneuver, outlast, and outthink much larger vessels. Nora White, a tactical officer, walked beside Lisa. She spoke quietly. They will not expect what we have prepared. They never do. They always look for weapons that explode or destroy. They do not look for strategy, patience, or endurance. Humans have those in ways they cannot imagine. Lisa nodded. "We will not strike first, Nora. Our people fight only when we must. But if they push, we will respond with everything we have. And when we do, they will see that humans are not insects. They will see that we survive and that we fight for more than ourselves." The sun was setting over the human city, casting long shadows across the streets and buildings. Below, children played, unaware of the galaxies watching them. Above, ships moved silently toward the stars. Humans had watched quietly for decades. Now the time for watching was ending. The time for action was coming. Lisa returned to her quarters, tired but alert. She thought about the lives that had already been lost to the Empire's attacks. She thought about the families in destroyed colonies. She thought about the engineers, soldiers, and pilots who had trained for years without knowing if they would ever face the enemy. All of them were ready now. All of them would stand with her. She picked up a small device from the table. It contained messages from other human colonies. Each report was carefully written. Each told of attacks, destruction, and survival. Lisa read each one slowly. She felt a cold determination settle over her. She had given the warning, and now the humans would prepare. The Empire would learn that Earth was not a place to strike without consequence. The night grew quiet outside, but inside the human base there was no silence. Machines hummed, ships moved, soldiers trained. Engineers adjusted calculations. Every action was a reminder that humans were no longer hiding. They were preparing. They were learning. They were ready. In the council chamber of the Empire, debates continued late into the night. Advisors whispered, worried and frightened. The Emperor tried to laugh, but it sounded hollow. The words of a human general had shaken him more than the loss of any battle could. He had seen the calm in her voice, the strength in her words, and the certainty in her stance. Humans were not what he expected. They were something different, and somewhere in the city, Lisa Carter stood at the edge of a viewing platform. She looked up at the stars, at the dark reaches of space where the Empire's fleets waited. She did not smile. She did not feel fear. She felt something stronger. Resolve. She thought about the people she led, the lives she had sworn to protect, and the promise she had given to the galaxy. Humans would survive. Humans would fight if needed, and the Empire would remember that warning forever. The next day, preparations moved faster. Every human base, every shipyard, every training ground became a place of silent determination. Lisa moved among her officers, speaking quietly to them. "We do not fight for glory. We fight for survival. We fight for everyone who cannot fight for themselves. Remember that. Remember it always." Her words spread through the ranks. Paul King and Amy Brown, Kevin Young and Nora White, every soldier and engineer heard them and felt them in their bones. Humans had faced danger before. They had faced hardships, disasters, and threats. But nothing had prepared them for the Empire. Now they were ready to meet it, not with fear, but with steady hearts and clear minds. As night fell again, Lisa looked at the stars and imagined the coming battles. She knew humans could not destroy the Empire, at least not yet. But they could make the Empire think twice before attacking anyone again. She knew humans would not strike without reason, but she also knew that if reason failed, Earth would respond with strength. Humans had waited for decades. Now they were ready. And somewhere far away, the Empire prepared as well, unaware that the quiet humans they had attacked would soon change the balance of power in the galaxy. The warning had been given. The time for action was near. And when humans acted, no one would forget the calm, steady voice of General Lisa Carter and the promise she made. Earth would not be struck again without consequence. The morning on Earth was quiet, but the human bases were alive with activity. Ships moved in and out of hangars, their engines humming softly. Engineers adjusted controls, tested systems, and made last-minute improvements. Soldiers trained in formations, running drills that combined speed, strategy, and endurance. It was not chaos, but a precise, careful preparation. Every action had a purpose. General Lisa Carter walked through one of the largest hangars, watching her people work. She stopped at a small group of engineers led by Paul King. They were checking the hulls of the ships, making sure everything could withstand long travel and unexpected attacks. Paul looked up as Lisa approached. "General," he said quietly, "we've finished reinforcing the shields and the engines are ready. The ships are faster than any fleet we've faced before." Lisa nodded. "Good. Speed and endurance will be important. But remember, we fight to protect, not to destroy unnecessarily. Every move must have purpose." Amy Brown joined them, holding a tablet filled with maps and schematics. "The new sensors are online, General. We can detect fleets before they reach our systems. They won't expect the patterns we've designed." Lisa smiled slightly. She trusted her officers completely. Humans had trained for decades to hide their strength in ways other species could not anticipate. The Empire thought humans were weak, slow, and unorganized. They had never faced humans who used patience and planning as weapons. In another part of the base, Kevin Young and Nora White led a group of pilots through simulation drills. The pilots sat in chairs that replicated the feeling of flying their ships, responding to scenarios that were designed to test every reaction. The pilots moved their hands quickly, their eyes scanning the screens for even the smallest details. "Remember," Nora said, "this is not a race to attack. This is a race to survive. You may need to retreat, regroup, and outthink your opponent. Never let fear guide your decisions." Kevin added, "Humans have a way of turning disadvantages into advantages. Think about that every time you make a choice. The Empire expects us to panic or surrender. We will do neither." The pilots nodded. They were young, some only in their early 20s, but each had the determination of people who had known struggle all their lives. They had grown up hearing stories of attacks, of losses, of humans surviving against impossible odds. Now it was their turn to carry that legacy forward. Back in the command center, Lisa studied the maps of the Empire's territories. Her officers gathered around, discussing routes, communication lines, and potential strategies. Every decision mattered. The humans could not match the Empire in sheer numbers, but they could outthink them. "We will split into 3 groups," Lisa said. "One group will move along the outer routes, drawing attention and testing responses. One group will stay in reserve to protect our colonies. The last group will advance toward the central systems quietly, gathering intelligence. Patience will be our weapon. Surprise will be our ally." Nora White nodded. "The Empire will expect a fast strike. We will give them the opposite. We will move calmly, steadily, and appear weaker than we are. It will confuse them, give us control of the situation." In the training rooms, soldiers practiced hand-to-hand combat, defensive maneuvers, and quick repairs. Eric Hill, a young officer, moved among them, correcting mistakes and offering advice. "Remember," he said, "we do not fight for glory. We fight because our people depend on us. If you lose focus, lives will be at risk. Stay sharp, stay ready." Outside, the hangars were filled with activity as drones moved supplies, repair bots worked on ships, and engineers tested new equipment. Every human in the bases knew the importance of their work. Even the smallest action could make a difference in the coming conflict. In a quiet room, Lisa met with her senior officers. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls, showing routes, colonies, and enemy territories. She pointed at one section. "The Empire's fleets are strong here but predictable. They follow routines. We can exploit those routines. We do not have to fight all at once. We fight smart and we fight for survival." Amy Brown added, "Our sensors can detect energy signatures from their ships long before they reach our systems. We can avoid unnecessary contact or choose the time and place of engagement." Paul King nodded. "Our ships can move in ways the Empire cannot anticipate. Small fleets, split into sections, can appear in multiple places at once. They will not know what to defend first." Lisa felt a quiet pride in her people. Humans had learned over generations to survive against larger and stronger forces. They had been underestimated, dismissed, and ignored. Now the galaxy would see what humans could do when pushed to their limits. The young pilots trained late into the night, each one aware of the stakes. They practiced emergency maneuvers, coordinated attacks, and evasive strategies. The simulations tested not only skill but patience. They had to think ahead, predict enemy actions, and respond calmly under pressure. Outside the base, the stars shone brightly. Human ships were ready, waiting in quiet hangars, their engines primed for travel. Soldiers were ready, alert, and disciplined. Engineers monitored every system, making adjustments and improvements. The city itself seemed calm, but beneath the surface, there was a steady energy of preparation. Lisa walked through the base again, watching her people. She passed by soldiers carrying supplies, engineers moving equipment, and young pilots discussing strategy. Everyone worked without complaint, without hesitation. They understood the importance of their mission. They understood that survival required unity, patience, and strength. In a private room, Lisa received messages from the colonies attacked by the Empire. Reports of destruction, loss, and survival filled her screen. She read each one carefully. Families had lost homes, children had lost parents, but many had survived through courage and quick thinking. The humans of the colonies had learned to endure, to adapt, and to resist. Lisa thought about the Empire's arrogance. They believed humans would surrender, beg for mercy, or collapse under pressure. They did not understand patience, strategy, or endurance. Humans had spent decades learning how to hide their true strength until the right moment. Now, that moment was near. In another section of the base, Kevin Young and Nora White reviewed flight logs and simulation results. "The Empire will not expect humans to coordinate like this," Kevin said. "They think we act on instinct, on emotion. But we plan, we observe, and we act together." "That is our advantage," Nora nodded. "Every decision is deliberate, every action is measured. That is something no machine, no fleet can predict completely. We may be smaller, but we are smarter. That is how we survive." As the sun rose the next day, the base was already active. Ships moved along launch pads, soldiers trained in squads, and engineers checked every system again. The humans were ready. They had prepared for months, years, and even decades. Now all that preparation would be tested against one of the largest empires in the galaxy. Lisa Carter addressed her officers one last time before the fleet departed. "Remember this," she said. "We do not fight because we want war. We fight because we have no choice. We fight to protect our people, to protect those who cannot fight for themselves. Stay calm, stay steady, and act with purpose. The Empire may underestimate us, but we know our strength. We will survive, and we will show the galaxy what humans can do when pushed to the edge." The officers nodded, their faces set with determination. Paul King, Amy Brown, Kevin Young, and Nora White looked at each other and then at Lisa. They were ready to follow her, to support her, and to carry out every plan they had prepared. The humans had waited quietly for decades, studying, learning, and preparing. Now it was time to move. Ships slowly left the hangars, engines humming softly, creating a quiet rhythm across the base. Soldiers boarded ships carefully, checking weapons and systems. Engineers monitored energy levels and shields. The humans moved with purpose, without hurry, without fear. They knew every detail mattered. As the fleet moved toward space, Lisa watched from the command bridge. She could see the horizon fade into the darkness of the stars. Humans had been quiet for so long, waiting for the right moment. Now they were moving forward, not recklessly, not angrily, but with calm precision. Far across the galaxy, scouts of the Empire detected the movements of the human fleet. Messages were sent to commanders, alarms were raised, but there was confusion. The humans were not attacking immediately. They were moving carefully, unpredictably, but with purpose. The Empire had never faced patience as a weapon before. Lisa turned to her officers. We move slowly now, quietly, deliberately. The Empire will watch and they will misinterpret our calm. That is to our advantage. Stay alert. Do not underestimate them, but do not overreact. Every choice we make shapes the outcome. Kevin Young checked his consoles. Their fleets are numerous but scattered. They will respond slowly, uncertainly. We can observe, learn, and adjust. Our advantage grows the longer we remain patient. Nora White added, "Humans survive not because we strike first, but because we know when to strike and we know when to wait. That patience will save us more than any weapon ever could." The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown dangers and opportunities. Humans had chosen their path, prepared every step of the way, and now they were moving forward. They would not be stopped by fear, by size, or by arrogance. Earth had learned long ago to endure. Now it would show the galaxy that endurance and strategy could outweigh numbers and weapons. Lisa looked at the fleet one last time, feeling a quiet pride. She thought about the people she led, about the children and families who depended on her, and about the promise she had given. Humans were not weak. Humans were not insignificant. They were patient, clever, and strong. And they were ready to show that strength to the Empire for the first time. The fleet continued its steady advance, lights blinking in the darkness of space. Ships moved with silent power, soldiers ready for anything, engineers monitoring every system, and officers coordinating every action. The humans had waited, prepared, and trained. Now, every moment counted. Every decision mattered. And when the Empire realized what humans were capable of, it would be too late to stop them. The human fleet moved silently through space. The stars stretched endlessly, and the darkness seemed heavy with the unknown. Ships of all sizes glided together in precise formation, engines glowing softly. Each ship carried pilots, soldiers, and equipment, but also careful planning and patience. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was wasted. General Lisa Carter stood on the command bridge of her lead ship. She looked at the displays, watching the positions of her fleet and the Imperial patrols ahead. The Empire had fleets scattered across the sectors, but none were prepared for humans moving calmly and deliberately. The humans did not attack immediately. They moved to observe, to learn, and to prepare. Kevin Young, her fleet commander, came to her side. "General, sensors show Imperial scouts ahead. They are small fleets, only 2 or 3 ships each. They will report our presence soon, but they do not seem aggressive yet." Lisa nodded. "Good, let them report. Let them underestimate us. The more they think we are weak, the better it will be for us when the time comes to act." In another ship, Nora White monitored communications. Messages from the Empire were beginning to arrive, full of warnings and threats. The humans ignored them. Lisa had taught them not to respond unless necessary. Responding could reveal plans or intentions. The Empire expected fear. Humans would give none. The first Imperial patrol appeared on the sensors. It was a small fleet, easily outnumbered by the humans, but it moved with authority. Its commander, a tall alien named Varkin, sent a message. His voice was harsh, demanding, and full of arrogance. "Humans, you are far from your world. Turn back immediately or face destruction. You cannot challenge the Empire." Lisa Carter replied calmly, "We are not here to challenge. We are here to protect what is ours. We move to observe and learn. We hope for peace, but if the Empire attacks, we will respond." Varkin hesitated. He had expected fear, anger, or surrender. Instead, he heard calm, confidence, and determination. It unsettled him, but he sent his fleet forward anyway, hoping speed and firepower would intimidate the humans. The patrol ships moved closer. Sensors on the human ships recorded every movement, every pattern. Engineers like Paul King and Amy Brown watched the data carefully. The humans were learning the Imperial formations, their attack patterns, and the timing of their communications. Every detail would be useful later. Kevin Young coordinated the human ships. Small groups moved in flanking patterns, not to attack, but to test the response of the Empire. Some ships drew attention, while others moved quietly behind. The humans did not show fear or aggression, only observation and preparation. In the command center, Nora White noted the Imperial reactions. "They are confused," she said. "They expected panic and they do not see it. They do not know how to react to calm humans moving in organized patterns. Their fleets are larger, but hesitation is costing them control." Lisa Carter smiled slightly. Patience had always been a human strength. The Empire believed size and firepower decided battles. Humans believed knowledge, observation, and patience decided outcomes. They could not attack carelessly, and they would not. The first encounter came when an Imperial scout tried to cut off a small human group. The scout fired a warning shot across the path of a human ship. Paul King, watching from his station, saw the shot and noted the trajectory. The human ship moved carefully, adjusting its course to avoid the attack. There was no panic, no overreaction. The scout was distracted by the calmness of the humans. Lisa spoke quietly into the communicator. "Keep moving, observe, record everything. Do not engage unless necessary. Let them reveal their patterns. This is how we learn faster than they do." The scout tried again, firing lasers and maneuvering aggressively. The humans responded with skill, not anger. They dodged, they adapted, they used small ships to force the scout to split attention. Within minutes, the scout's movements became predictable. Human pilots learned the patterns, memorized the weak points, and recorded the information. Kevin Young watched the data and smiled. "Every move they make is being stored. The Empire thinks it controls this space. We are learning faster than they know." Nora White agreed. "Patience is our weapon. Surprise will be our advantage. We are proving to them that humans do not act like others. We do not rush. We do not panic. We observe and act only when necessary." The scout, frustrated and confused, finally retreated. It sent a message back to the Empire, warning that humans were not weak. The Empire received it, but many dismissed it, thinking it was exaggeration. Few realized that humans were learning faster than the Empire could imagine. The human fleet continued its advance, slowly moving deeper into Imperial territory. Every patrol, every fleet, every message was recorded and analyzed. Lisa Carter and her officers worked tirelessly, coordinating movements and adjusting strategies. Humans had no intention of fighting recklessly, but they were ready to defend themselves if attacked. In one of the smaller ships, a young pilot named Jason Reed practiced emergency maneuvers. He had never faced the Empire before, but his training had prepared him. His hands moved quickly over the controls, adjusting speed and shields. He remembered Lisa's words: "Stay calm, stay steady, act with purpose." Every decision counted, and he focused on surviving while observing. Another pilot, Claire Anderson, monitored the sensors and reported anomalies. "Fleet ahead," she said. "It looks larger than the scouts, but they are spread thin. They are not in formation yet. We can continue observing without conflict." Lisa nodded. "Good, keep distance. Let them reveal themselves. We move forward carefully, always aware, always learning." The humans saw many things during the journey. Imperial fleets were stronger than any humans had faced, but they were predictable. They relied on brute force, intimidation, and fear. Humans relied on patience, skill, and strategy. Where the Empire rushed, humans waited. Where the Empire acted blindly, humans observed. In the command bridge, Lisa Carter discussed the findings with her officers. "Every fleet we encounter gives us information. Every attack, even small ones, teaches us patterns. We do not waste time fighting unless we must. Knowledge is our advantage, and it grows with each movement." Paul King added, "Our ships may be smaller, but we can outthink them. The Empire does not expect patience. They underestimate us at every turn, and that is why we survive." Nora White agreed. They believe fear guides humans. It does not. Calm and calculation guide us. Every Imperial fleet we see confirms that our strategy works. As the human fleet approached the central systems, the Empire began to realize something important. Humans were not reckless. Humans were not panicked. Humans did not flee. They moved steadily, recording, learning, and preparing. Imperial leaders were unsettled. They had expected chaos, surrender, or fear. Instead, they saw control, patience, and intelligence. Varkin, the scout commander, reported again. They are not like the others. They move without panic, without aggression. They observe. They do not respond as expected. Our fleets are large, but we are unsure how to react. They are not weak. His message spread across the Empire's communication channels. Some officers dismissed it. Some worried. Most underestimated humans still, thinking that patience was simply hesitation. But Lisa Carter and her fleet continued forward, calm and prepared, turning every misjudgment of the Empire into an advantage. In the fleet, soldiers trained for emergencies. Engineers repaired small malfunctions instantly. Pilots practiced evasive maneuvers. Every human knew their role and performed it with precision. Humans had survived disasters before, and they knew that coordination and discipline mattered more than size or firepower. The humans discovered weaknesses in the Imperial patrols. Some ships moved too quickly, burning fuel too fast. Some relied on central commands that slowed reactions. The humans memorized everything, recording patterns, timing, and signals. The Empire had superior numbers, but humans had knowledge and preparation. Lisa Carter looked at her officers. We are proving what humans have always known. We may be smaller, but we are clever. Patience is our weapon. Intelligence is our shield. We do not fight recklessly, and we do not panic. This is how humans survive against forces larger than themselves. Kevin Young watched the sensor feeds. Every patrol that approaches, every attack that comes, we learn more. The Empire thinks they control this space. They do not. They do not see the quiet strength we carry. As the day passed, the humans advanced carefully. Imperial scouts attempted harassment attacks, but the humans avoided unnecessary conflict. Every movement was deliberate. Every action was measured. The Empire became increasingly frustrated. They expected humans to act like others, but humans were not like others. Nora White reported an anomaly. Fleet movements suggest confusion. The Empire does not know how to respond. They expect fear or aggression, but they get calm, coordinated observation. They are losing control without realizing it. Lisa smiled slightly. That is exactly what we want. Let them misjudge us. Let them underestimate patience, coordination, and intelligence. Humans survive because we plan, we observe, and we act with purpose. Every mistake they make becomes our advantage. The night fell in space, but the human fleet continued its advance. Ships glowed softly against the blackness, moving like shadows. Humans remained alert, disciplined, and patient. Every observation was recorded. Every pattern analyzed. They learned faster than the Empire expected. In the quiet moments, Lisa thought about the people they protected, the colonies attacked, the families who suffered. Humans had waited for this moment for decades. Now they were acting, but not recklessly. They acted with knowledge, calm, and purpose. The Empire would soon understand that humans were not insects, not weak, not careless. Humans were patient, clever, and strong. As the first full day in Imperial space ended, the human fleet had accomplished much. They had avoided unnecessary fights, learned patterns of Imperial fleets, and demonstrated calm and coordination. The Empire had begun to fear not the weapons of humans, but the quiet strength behind them. Lisa looked at the stars, thinking about the days ahead. The humans would continue to advance, to observe, and to prepare. They would not strike first, but they would respond when necessary. And when the Empire realized the patience, intelligence, and determination of humans, it would be too late to stop them. The journey had begun. Humans had entered Imperial space. They were calm, prepared, and strong. They moved with patience, intelligence, and purpose, and the Empire had no idea what was coming next. The human fleet had been moving through Imperial space for several days. The ships were small compared to the massive fleets of the Empire, but they moved with precision, patience, and intelligence. Every pilot, every soldier, every engineer knew their role and carried it out without hesitation. The Empire had begun to notice the humans, but it still underestimated them. General Lisa Carter watched the sensor screens on the command bridge. She saw fleets moving in the distance, and she knew the Empire was beginning to gather forces. They had ignored the humans at first, but now they could not. Humans had entered Imperial space quietly, steadily, and with calm determination. Their presence was unsettling, but Lisa's fleet did not panic. They continued to move carefully, gathering information, observing, and preparing for the moment when action would be necessary. Kevin Young, the fleet commander, approached Lisa. "General, we have detected a large Imperial fleet near the central systems. It is much larger than any patrol we have faced. They appear to be preparing for confrontation." Lisa nodded. "Good, we expected this. Let them gather. Let them assume we are afraid. Patience is our advantage. We do not need to strike immediately. We act when the time is right." Nora White monitored communications. Imperial messages were arriving constantly. The Empire demanded surrender, warned of destruction, and tried to intimidate. Lisa ignored most messages, replying only when necessary. She knew any unnecessary communication could reveal their strategy or intentions. Humans did not fight recklessly, and they did not act without reason. In the hangars of the fleet, engineers like Paul King and Amy Brown worked tirelessly. They repaired ships, checked systems, and improved shields and engines. Every adjustment, no matter how small, added to the fleet's strength. The humans were ready for endurance. They could not match the Empire in size, but they could outlast and outthink them. Outside the human fleet, Imperial forces moved into position. The Empire believed that size and firepower decided battles. They had never faced humans who relied on intelligence, patience, and coordination. The humans allowed the Empire to make the first moves, observing every pattern, every tactic, every weakness. In one of the human ships, young pilots trained for emergencies. Claire Anderson adjusted her shields while monitoring sensors. "Fleet movement is predictable," she said. "We can see gaps in their formation. If we need to defend ourselves, we know where to act." Jason Reed, sitting nearby, nodded. "They think we are small, weak, and slow. They do not realize that every move we make is deliberate. We do not act without reason. Patience is our strength." The first encounter came when an Imperial fleet attempted to block a group of human ships. The Imperial commander, a large alien named Zarath, sent his ships forward aggressively. He expected humans to panic or retreat. Instead, the humans moved calmly, adjusting their positions and avoiding unnecessary conflict. Lisa Carter spoke to the fleet. "Observe and record. Do not engage unless attacked. Every move they make teaches us. Every mistake they make is our advantage. Patience is our weapon. Knowledge is our shield." The Imperial ships fired warning shots, trying to intimidate the humans. Small explosions lit up the darkness of space, but no human ship panicked. Pilots adjusted their courses, avoided damage, and monitored the attackers. Engineers noted the power of enemy weapons, shield weaknesses, and movement patterns. The humans were learning faster than the Empire realized. Kevin Young coordinated movements. Small groups of ships moved in flanking positions, not to attack, but to force the Imperial fleet to reveal weaknesses. Every maneuver was careful, deliberate, and observed. The Empire was confused. They had expected humans to act like others, recklessly, angrily, or with fear. Humans did none of these. Nora White watched the Imperial reactions. "They are confused," she said. They do not understand how humans move. They do not expect patience, coordination, and intelligence. They rely on power, but we rely on strategy. This will work to our advantage. The Imperial fleet attempted a stronger attack, sending a larger force to surround a human group. The humans responded with coordination, moving in ways that were unexpected. Small ships appeared in multiple locations, drawing attention, then retreating carefully. Their movements were like a dance, confusing the Empire while recording every detail for future action. Paul King monitored the sensors. Every ship, every weapon, every movement is being recorded. The Empire believes they control the situation, but we control the information. They do not realize how much we are learning, Amy Brown added. Our ships are smaller, but we are faster, smarter, and more coordinated. They underestimate us at every turn. That is our advantage. Lisa Carter smiled quietly. She had trained her fleet for years to survive against larger forces. Humans had learned to hide strength, to observe before acting, and to respond only when necessary. The Empire thought it was in control, but humans were guiding the battle through patience and knowledge. The first major confrontation came when Zorath decided to attack directly. His fleet moved forward with full force, expecting a quick victory. Human ships moved carefully, avoiding collisions and damage. Pilots used their knowledge of the Imperial patterns to counter every move. The humans did not panic. They acted with precision, turning the Empire's aggression into confusion. In the command center, Lisa Carter instructed the fleet. Do not strike unless necessary. Observe, record, and respond. Every mistake they make is our strength. We survive through patience, skill, and coordination. Never forget that. Small groups of human ships created diversions, drawing parts of the Imperial fleet away. This allowed other ships to move undetected, observing the Empire's weaknesses. The humans did not attack recklessly. They avoided unnecessary conflict. Every move was calculated to gain knowledge and control. Kevin Young watched the data. They do not realize how much they are revealing. Every ship, every weapon, every decision they make is being recorded. When the time comes, we will know exactly how to respond. Nora White nodded. Humans survive because we are not driven by fear. We are not driven by anger. We are guided by knowledge, patience, and purpose. Every Imperial fleet we encounter confirms this. As the battle continued, the Empire began to realize that humans were not ordinary opponents. They did not attack without reason. They did not panic under fire. They observed, learned, and adapted faster than the Empire could anticipate. The Empire's leaders were unsettled. Their arrogance had blinded them to the patience and intelligence of humans. In one small human ship, Jason Reed and Claire Anderson coordinated maneuvers. They moved through narrow gaps in the Imperial formation, avoiding detection while gathering critical data. Every movement was precise. Every decision was deliberate. They were not reckless and they were not afraid. Lisa Carter monitored the battle from the command bridge. She saw the Empire struggling to maintain control. Their fleets were larger, but confusion spread among them. The humans had not yet used full force, but their presence, patience, and skill had already unsettled the Empire. Paul King and Amy Brown reported small successes. We have recorded all fleet movements, weapon patterns, and shield weaknesses. We are learning faster than they know. Lisa nodded. Every piece of data would be used when humans had to act. Patience had always been humanity's strength, and now it was proving powerful in Imperial space. Zorath, frustrated by the unexpected resistance, tried a stronger maneuver. He sent his largest ships to surround a human group. Humans, however, anticipated this. Small ships moved in clever patterns, luring the larger ships into positions where their firepower was less effective. Engineers recorded energy output, movement speed, and weapon range. Humans were learning, adapting, and surviving. Nora White spoke calmly. They are confused. They expected fear and chaos, but humans remain calm and organized. This is how we survive, and this is how we will prevail if we must. The battle continued for hours, but the humans never lost discipline. Every attack, every maneuver, every observation was part of a greater plan. The Empire believed their size would win, but humans had turned patience and intelligence into weapons stronger than brute force. Lisa Carter addressed the fleet. Remember, we do not fight recklessly. We do not act out of anger. We fight to protect and survive. Every mistake they make, every hesitation they show becomes our advantage. Humans endure because we think, plan, and act with purpose. Never forget that. Kevin Young, monitoring the fleet, added, "Their arrogance blinds them. They cannot see that humans do not panic. Humans do not act without reason, and humans learn faster than they expect. Patience is our shield. Knowledge is our weapon." The first major Imperial fleet eventually withdrew, surprised by the calm skill of the humans. Their ships were larger and more numerous, but humans had avoided damage, gathered information, and demonstrated control. The Empire did not understand humans yet. They assumed size and firepower decided battles, but humans had shown them otherwise. Lisa Carter looked at her officers and soldiers. "They will underestimate us again, and they will make mistakes. We continue to observe, to learn, and to prepare. When the time comes to respond, we will act with full knowledge and strength. Humans survive not because of size, not because of weapons, but because we plan, we endure, and we act with purpose." As the night fell in Imperial space, the human fleet continued to move. Ships glowed softly against the dark stars. Soldiers remained alert, pilots trained, engineers monitored every system. Every movement, every sensor reading, every message was recorded and analyzed. Humans were calm, precise, and prepared. The Empire had learned something important. Humans were not reckless, not afraid, and not weak. Humans survived because they were patient, intelligent, and disciplined. And when humans acted, the Empire would realize too late that patience, skill, and knowledge could overcome numbers and firepower. Lisa Carter stood at the command bridge, looking at the stars. She thought about the colonies they protected, about the families who depended on her, and about the promise humans had made to the galaxy. Humans would survive. Humans would endure. And when necessary, humans would act, and no one would forget the calm, steady power that guided them. The Empire may have thought it controlled the battle, but humans controlled the outcome through patience, observation, and intelligence. The first encounters had proven it. The humans would continue to advance, to learn, and to prepare. And when the time came, the Empire would see the true strength of Earth and its people. The human fleet had moved through Imperial space for many days. The Empire's forces had grown anxious. Reports of humans advancing calmly, observing, and adapting reached the Imperial leaders constantly. They had underestimated humans, and now they could no longer ignore them. General Lisa Carter stood on the command bridge, watching the fleet. She saw ships moving with quiet precision, engines glowing softly against the darkness of space. Every human aboard knew their role and performed it without hesitation. Patience had brought them this far, but the time was coming to show the Empire the full strength of Earth's people. Kevin Young, her fleet commander, approached her. "General, the main Imperial fleet has gathered near the central systems. They are larger than anything we have seen before, but their formation shows hesitation. They are unsure how to respond to humans who do not panic, who do not act recklessly." Lisa nodded. "Good. Let them hesitate. Let them doubt. Our advantage is not in size or firepower. Our advantage is patience, intelligence, and coordination. Humans survive because we act with purpose, and now we are ready to demonstrate that clearly." Nora White monitored the communications from the Imperial commanders. Messages of warning, threats, and confusion arrived constantly. The Empire demanded surrender, promised destruction, and tried to intimidate. Lisa ignored most messages. Humans did not fight to impress or intimidate. Humans fought because they must, and because they protect what is theirs. In the human hangars, engineers like Paul King and Amy Brown worked tirelessly. Shields were reinforced, engines tested, and weapon systems adjusted. Every detail mattered. The humans had prepared for endurance, for observation, and for strategy. The Empire had more ships, but humans had knowledge and coordination. That would decide the outcome. The first major confrontation began when the Imperial fleet moved forward. Zorath, the Imperial commander, assumed humans would panic under pressure. He sent his largest ships to block the human advance. Human ships moved carefully, adjusting positions and avoiding unnecessary conflict. Pilots like Jason Reed and Claire Anderson navigated skillfully, following the lessons of their training. Every action was deliberate. Every movement observed the enemy. Lisa Carter addressed the fleet. Observe, record, and prepare. Do not attack unless necessary. Every movement the Empire makes teaches us. Every hesitation they show becomes our advantage. Humans survive because we think, we endure, and we act with purpose. The Imperial fleet tried to attack a small group of human ships. Warning shots fired across paths, lasers glowed in the darkness, and explosions lit the space. But the humans did not panic. They avoided damage with precise movements, retreated when necessary, and recorded every detail. They learned faster than the Empire could imagine. Kevin Young coordinated flanking maneuvers. Small groups of ships moved in ways the Imperial fleet did not expect. Some appeared to attack, while others quietly observed. Every distraction forced the Empire to reveal weaknesses. Humans did not act recklessly. They did not rush. They acted with control, patience, and intelligence. Nora White noted the reactions of the Empire. They expected fear, anger, or surrender. They see none of that. Confusion spreads. Humans act like this because we are organized and disciplined. They cannot predict our moves. This is our strength. The Imperial fleet tried to overwhelm the humans with size and firepower. Massive ships moved forward, firing at human vessels. Smaller ships tried to flank. Humans responded carefully. Ships dodged, adjusted shields, and moved in patterns that drew the enemy into unfavorable positions. Every move was recorded. Every weakness was noted. Paul King and Amy Brown reported on the enemy's weapon ranges, shield weaknesses, and movement patterns. "We are learning faster than they expect," Paul said. "Every mistake they make becomes our advantage." Lisa Carter spoke to the fleet. "Humans survive because we act with purpose. Patience is our weapon. Intelligence is our shield. We do not fight recklessly. We do not panic. Every action we take is calculated. Every choice is deliberate. This is how we prevail." The Empire realized the humans were different. They did not act like other species. They did not respond with fear or anger. They observed, adapted, and coordinated. Every attempt to intimidate was met with calm and precise movement. Hesitation spread among the Imperial commanders. They had assumed humans were weak, but humans had shown strength in ways they did not understand. In a small human ship, Jason Reed and Claire Anderson navigated through narrow gaps in the Imperial formation. They avoided detection, recorded critical data, and returned safely. Every pilot knew that survival depended on intelligence, skill, and patience. Humans had waited for this moment for decades. Now every movement counted. Kevin Young smiled at the data feeds. They do not realize how much they are revealing. Every move, every decision, every adjustment is being recorded. When the time comes, we will know exactly how to respond. They underestimate humans at every turn. Nora White added, "Humans survive not because of size, not because of weapons, but because we plan, endure, and act with purpose. Every hesitation they show gives us strength. We will prove it to them completely." After hours of careful maneuvering and observation, Lisa Carter decided it was time to act. Humans had gathered all the necessary knowledge. The Empire had revealed weaknesses, shown hesitation, and underestimated human patience. Now humans would demonstrate their true strength not recklessly but deliberately. Lisa addressed the fleet. "We have waited, we have observed, we know their weaknesses. Now we act not to destroy but to protect. Every move must be deliberate, every action must have purpose. Humans do not fight to conquer. Humans fight to endure, to survive, and to protect. This is our moment." The human fleet moved with precision. Small groups coordinated attacks that were calculated to disable, not destroy. Larger Imperial ships were forced into positions where their firepower was less effective. Humans avoided unnecessary damage while demonstrating strength. Pilots acted with skill, engineers monitored every system, and soldiers prepared for boarding if needed. Kevin Young coordinated maneuvers. "Every ship has a role, every action is measured. We act with precision. The Empire cannot predict us. They cannot control us. We survive because we think, act, and endure." The Empire tried to respond, but humans had anticipated every move. Flanking groups created diversions, forcing larger ships into gaps where they could be monitored and countered. Every attack was met with calm, careful response. The Empire began to realize humans were not to be underestimated. Nora White spoke quietly. "They are learning, but too slowly. Humans have waited decades for this moment. We are patient, precise, and prepared. They cannot stop what is coming because they cannot match our planning and coordination." The first major Imperial fleet withdrew, confused and frustrated. Humans had demonstrated strength without panic, skill without recklessness, and patience without hesitation. The Empire had underestimated humans, and now they had seen that patience, intelligence, and coordination could overcome size and firepower. Lisa Carter addressed the fleet again. "We have proven ourselves. The Empire sees that humans are not weak. They see that we endure. They see that patience, intelligence, and coordination can overcome fear, size, and aggression. We move now to establish a balance. Humans fight to protect, not to destroy, but we will act decisively if necessary." Kevin Young, Nora White, Paul King, and Amy Brown watched the data feeds. They had learned everything they needed. Every Imperial move, every reaction, every weakness was recorded. Humans had not acted recklessly. They had acted with intelligence, patience, and purpose. In the days that followed, the Empire agreed to negotiations. General Lisa Carter met the Imperial leaders, not as a conqueror, but as a representative of a strong, patient, and determined people. She made it clear that Earth sought peace, but peace backed by strength. The Empire accepted new boundaries and regulations, respecting human strategy and endurance. The humans returned to their colonies and homeworld with calm pride. They had demonstrated that patience, intelligence, and careful action were as powerful as fleets and weapons. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were recognized as a people who could endure, survive, and act decisively when necessary. On Earth, people celebrated quietly. Ships returned to hangars. Soldiers and engineers rested. Children played under the sun, unaware of the dangers that had been faced and overcome. Humans had faced a great empire and had survived, not by rash attacks or anger, but by patience, intelligence, and unity. Lisa Carter stood on a high platform overlooking the city. She thought about every pilot, every soldier, every engineer who had contributed to the success. Humans had waited, learned, and acted with purpose. The Empire had underestimated them, and now the galaxy knew that humans were clever, patient, and strong. Kevin Young approached her. "General, the Empire will not forget this. They have learned that humans cannot be controlled, intimidated, or underestimated. We have changed the balance quietly, decisively, and without unnecessary destruction." Lisa nodded. "Yes." Humans survive because we endure, because we plan, and because we act with purpose. We fight when necessary, but never recklessly. The Empire knows now that patience and intelligence are stronger than fear and size. That is our legacy. Nora White added, "Every fleet we encountered, every maneuver we made, every observation we recorded has shown them that humans are not weak. Patience, strategy, and intelligence define us. They will not strike lightly again." The stars shone above Earth, quiet and endless. Humans had acted decisively, yet with calm control. They had survived where many thought they would fail. They had changed the perception of their people across the galaxy. Patience and intelligence had won. Lisa Carter looked at the horizon, thinking about the future. Humans would continue to explore, to defend, and to grow. The Empire had learned to respect Earth, but humans had not sought glory or destruction. They had sought survival, protection, and justice. In the following weeks, Earth and the Empire established communications, trade routes, and agreements. Humans were respected, not feared, not hated, but recognized as intelligent, patient, and strong. The galaxy had learned a new truth. Humans endure, humans survive, and humans act with purpose when necessary. General Lisa Carter returned to her family, officers, and people. She watched children play, families gather, and ships move quietly to new missions. Humans had proven that patience, intelligence, and unity were more powerful than raw force. The Empire had learned a lesson it would not forget. Humans had changed the galaxy without reckless destruction, without panic, and without fear. The galaxy had seen Earth and it had seen humans. The legend would grow, not because of weapons, but because humans acted with purpose, endurance, and intelligence. And that was a power no empire could ignore. Humans survived and humans would endure. They had waited for this moment, acted wisely, and changed the galaxy forever.